You know, some cars are just cars. They get you from point A to point B, and that's it. But every once in a while, a car comes along that's different. It becomes more than just metal and rubber. It becomes a symbol, a cultural icon, a true legend. Today, we are diving deep into one of the all-time greats, the 1969 Dodge Charger RT. And believe me, this isn't just a story about horsepower. It's about how one car captured the imagination of a generation and just never let go.
So that really begs the question, right? What's the secret formula? How does a car make that leap from being a really cool car to an undisputed legend? Is it just about being the fastest, or is it about the way it looks? Or maybe it's something else entirely. Well, that's exactly what we're going to figure out today.
Because here's the thing you got to remember about the late 60s. Muscle was everywhere. You couldn't swing a cat without hitting a big block V8. So to really stand out from that crowd, to become iconic, you needed the whole package. You needed an attitude, you needed unforgettable style, and you definitely needed a story. The 69 Charger? Oh yeah, it had all of that and then some.
So let's start with the first thing that just grabs you by the collar, the look. I mean, before you ever heard that engine roar to life, you saw it. And the design of the 69 Charger was pure, unapologetic aggression. It looked like it was breaking the speed limit even when it was standing still. Now, the secret sauce to that look is a term you see right here, the Coke bottle body. It was the design language of the era. Just look at those lines. See how the body pinches in at the doors and then just explodes back out over those rear wheels? It creates this incredible sense of tension and motion, like a predator coiled and ready to strike. Now, the designers at Dodge already had a hit with the 68 model, but for 69, they made these two small, absolutely brilliant tweaks that just perfected the whole look. Up front, they split the grille with that center divider, which somehow made it look even more menacing. And then out back, they ditched the 4 round taillights for these long, sleek, horizontal ones. They're such subtle changes, but wow, what a difference it made. And when you put it all together, you get this checklist of pure cool. You've got that menacing split grille, the hidden headlights that gave it this clean, almost sinister face. Then there's the racing-style gas cap. And of course, you can't forget those iconic bumblebee stripes on the RT models. Every single one of these elements worked in perfect harmony to create a visual masterpiece. Okay, but let's be real. Looks aren't going to make you a legend if you don't have the muscle to back it up. And this is where the Charger went from being a pretty face to an absolute monster. It's time to look under the hood. The RT, which stood for Road and Track, by the way, came standard with the massive 440 Magnum V8. We're talking 375 horsepower right out of the box. That alone was enough to embarrass most other cars on the street. But if you were really, really serious, you checked the option box for the one, the only, the engine that was already a myth in its own time, the 426 Hemi. 425 horsepower. Let that sink in. In 1969, that number was just insane for a production car. The Hemi wasn't just an engine, it was a thoroughbred racing engine that Dodge somehow convinced the lawyers to let them put in a street car. It was expensive, it was super rare, and it was just ridiculously, unbelievably powerful. You know, there was this saying among enthusiasts that just sums it all up perfectly. The 440 Magnum, that was your king of the stoplight drag race. It had tons of low-end torque, it was reliable, and it was absolutely brutal. But the Hemi was a different animal entirely. It was a little finicky, sure, but on a drag strip, with a driver who knew what they were doing, it was basically untouchable. All right, so what do we have so far? An incredible design and legendary power. That's 2 key parts of the recipe. But the final, crucial ingredient that took the 69 Charger and launched it into the stratosphere was Hollywood. I mean, just look at this timeline. It's amazing. It actually starts with a 68 model playing the bad guy's car in Bullitt, one of the greatest chase scenes of all time. Then in 79, it becomes the hero car for an entire generation of kids in the Dukes of Hazzard. And then decades later, it gets a whole new life as Dominic Toretto's iconic ride in The Fast and the Furious. Talk about staying power. But let's be honest, while all those rules were huge, one stands head and shoulders above the rest. For millions and millions of people, when you say 1969 Dodge Charger, they see one thing, the General Lee. That bright orange paint, the O1 on the doors, the Dixie horn, it transformed the car from a machine into a beloved character. It was the trusty steed of the Duke boys, and it became a household name.
And get a load of this number. To pull off all of those incredible jumps and stunts you saw on TV, the production crew went through an estimated 325 Chargers. Most of them were completely wrecked after just one big jump. That fact alone tells you everything you need to know about how important that car and all its crazy stunts was to the show's identity.
So what happens when you take a jaw-dropping design, add a legendary engine, and then sprinkle on a heavy dose of pop culture fame? Well, you get a car that more than 50 years later is one of the most sought-after collector cars on the entire planet.
So why is it so collectible? Well, it's really this perfect storm of factors. First, rarity. Just over 19,000 RBTs were even made, and way fewer survive today, especially with their original engines. Then there's the historical significance, which is just off the charts thanks to Hollywood. And finally, that design. It's just timeless. It looks as tough and as cool today as it did rolling off the line in 1969.
Which brings us all the way back to our original question. What makes a car a legend? Well, for the 1969 Dodge Charger, this slide lays out the three-step recipe perfectly. Step 1. Perfect the design, make it unforgettable. Step 2. Back it up with absolutely ferocious power. And Step 3. Become a movie star. It was that magical combination that created a true automotive immortal.
So, I'll leave you with one last thing to think about. Look around at the cars on the road today. If you use this recipe, unforgettable design, game-changing performance, and a real cultural impact, which ones do you think we'll still be talking about in 50 years? What's the next legend in the making? It's a fun one to think about, isn't it?